Hey guys, how we doing? John Denson here. Thank you for joining me on this belated, a little bit delayed final thoughts video on Lana Del Rey's Chemtrails Over the Country Club. Think of these as the reviews after the first reactions. First reaction on the channel, link down in the description if you haven't seen it. Guys, make sure you're watching to the end of the video as well, because I want to have a little chat with you guys about these final thoughts videos, exactly what they're going to entail, what it means for the channel, etc, etc. But Chemtrails Over the Country Club. I was thrilled to be able to listen to this album with you guys at the same time as everybody else, all the Lana Del Rey fans. After going on this musical journey with you guys over this past year, listening to our whole back catalogue, and if you haven't seen any of that, all the reactions are up on the channel. There's a whole playlist, in fact. And to be honest, this record, it doesn't disappoint, man. Beautiful songwriting, arrangement, and lyricism throughout. And it's defined by some truly standout tracks. Truly standout tracks. And quite honestly, you can't start anywhere other than the intro track, White Dress, which for me is probably the strongest track on the record, and certainly the one that hit me the most on repeated listens. It's that kind of beautiful, rich, somber piano to start things off, and immediately you pretty much know you're in good hands as soon as the album starts. But then when Lana sings, she has this sort of strange nasal tone to her voice, almost like her voice is being strained, and it does sound weird at first, and you can see that on my first reaction. And I think it was a lot of people's first reaction, but over time you realise that it actually sits perfectly on the track, almost like an inventive musical style for the track, because it's representing her kind of fragility, her naivety almost, this youthful version of herself that she describes in the track, the 19-year-old version of herself. And for me, it immediately gives the song and the whole record actually its own character, one that feels perhaps more deeply connected to Lana herself, or indeed Lizzie, than perhaps we've heard on her other studio albums. One thing I love about this song is it creates nostalgia for a time that's really rare for music, which is young adulthood in the early 2000s. Why do I connect to that? Well, it's pretty obvious. That's when I was a young adult. It's rare because most music is made by young adults, right? Their nostalgia is of a different period to mine, but hearing somebody talk about these sort of late summer nights listening to White Stripes, Kings of Leon, I was like, oh, that's me. It was me. So that really connected with me. But yeah, we have this rich song, this beautiful melody, this soaring chorus, and this strange little bit where she fits too many syllables into the line. Down at the Men in Music Business Conference. Sounds like something from Flight of the Conchords. Down at the Men in Music Business Conference.
I'm the hip-hop-opotamus. My lyrics are bottomless.
First listen, sounds weird. 10th listen, sounds weird, but I wouldn't have it not in the track. Does that make sense? Almost like the imperfection of that moment just helps sell the mood of the track. And I found out later on from you guys that this track was actually freestyled with Jack Antonoff just playing the piano and her kind of coming up with the track on the cuff. And that's really quite amazing. The album then moves into the title track, which hasn't really sat quite as strongly with me as I perhaps thought it would do. There's something there, there's something hidden beneath that track, almost like there's something grand behind all the splendour. It's a very strong track, but it doesn't really compare to the track that comes after it, which is Tulsa Jesus Freak. And that was the moment after White Dress first listen. I was like, I think I like it, but I'm not sure. Chemtrails I'd heard, and I was like, yeah, this is good. This was the moment when I go, okay, no, we're in a good place here. Subtle arrangement to this track, tender melody, then this sort of thrust of sensuality with this white hot forever hook. Lana connecting with her vocals, connecting with the tone, connecting with the listener in a way that so few artists are actually able to in the way that she does. It's very much a Lana Del Rey song, but it really does connect. There's Wild at Heart. Interestingly, it's the name of a David Lynch film, and David Lynch's films, and particularly this film, actually, if you've seen it, a Nicolas Cage movie, I actually saw it when I was a teenager, I think. Wild at Heart could kind of stand for a lot of her work in that respect, certainly in what she talks about on the track. It's like dangerous romance, road trips, sunset Americana. It's also got a really similar, deliberately so, instrumental to How to Disappear for Norman fucking Rockwell. So they're kind of companion pieces, and companion pieces is something that kind of go through all Lana's work. And then we have to talk about this track, Dark But Just a Game. First reaction, loved it. The shades came on. Listening again, it still works again. It's a really inventive and interesting track. Starts with this kind of massive attack, Portishead vibe, always going to work for me. The drums are a bit more like a hip-hop beat, kind of reminiscent of the Born to Die era Lana. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this like Beatles-like breakdown hits in that really takes you by surprise. The song feels like a moment in the centre of the album, a reminder that Lana can still make challenging, intriguing music. It's that slightly intimidating hook that sets the track apart. There's other standout moments as well. There's this kind of like dreamy falsetto in the chorus to All Those Who Wander Are Not Lost. Sort of folksy elements in Breaking Up Slowly, which I embarrassingly thought was Lana singing in a different voice at the beginning, which is mortifying because it's Nikki Lane. But in all fairness to me, it wasn't credited on Spotify when I did the first reaction. It is now, so it sounds like I'm making an excuse, and lots of comments under my initial reaction say that. But that is the danger of the first reaction video. You have to live with these mistakes in infamy forever. That's just what it is. Another track is called Yosemite, which is in some ways perhaps the most personal sounding track on the record, stripped back, almost like cinematic, confessional almost, possibly about Lana's own relationship with her music or just herself. I don't think it's the best song on the record, but it might be sort of the most poignant and pertinent. Other tracks didn't connect perhaps in the same way. Love You Like a Woman, which was the first single, was a weird single, as I really thought we might be in trouble with Lana Del Rey with that single. Not that there's anything necessarily wrong with that song, but the experience of an artist, they get to a certain point in their career quite often and they just lose that mojo. And I thought when I first heard that song, it's very much Lana Del Rey by numbers. I was like, oh dear. But I have to say, I think that's probably the weakest track on the record overall, because this album really is something special indeed, once again, from this amazing artist. It might not be as complete as Norman fucking Rockwell. It might not be as dangerous as Ultraviolence or as groundbreaking as Born to Die. But this feels to me like a record where Lana's reconnecting with herself and sort of letting her actual self be more vulnerable on the record, on the track, than some of the personas she sort of conjures up over her previous music. I mean, just think of the final track as well, For Free, which embarrassingly I didn't realise was a Joni Mitchell cover on First Reaction. This is the danger of first reactions, guys. I've learned to live with it over time. That feels like a poignant moment, even though it's not a song that she wrote. It's a song talking about reconnecting with the kind of art and beauty of music, irrespective of the commerce and the fame. And that kind of sums up the album. But really, the fact that White Dress, the standout track from the record as far as I'm concerned, a track that will probably, most likely go down in her pantheon of classics among many others, the fact that it is a freestyle, in inverted commas, the fact that it came purely from her heart, it's like the perfect summation of the record for me. Sometimes the truest beauty just comes from honesty. In terms of scores, I put it to you guys on Twitter and on the community feed on YouTube. Overwhelmingly, over 80% on both polls, you're saying score out of 10. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10. So that's it. Final thoughts done. The first final thoughts video on the channel, and what these are going to be. Like I said, I just wanted to chat a little bit with you guys about what these videos are going to be. So I want to do these final thoughts videos for new albums that I react to, not every single one, but like significant ones, because I got into a habit over doing this for a number of years. One, I don't like the idea of writing reaction review. I may still do it if it gets more views. Sometimes the title is just about the click, right? But ultimately, I know, and we all know, that a first reaction, as powerful and visceral and exciting as it is, you can't call it a review, because music you need to live with for a certain period of time. And, you know, I might change my mind on this record in 2 years' time, but ultimately you need those multiple listens. I think it's important to come back and talk about these records, because sometimes I'm listening to records, making a video about it, listening to it once and not going back to them, just because of the cycle of getting onto all this other music, old and new. And I'm not really doing the music justice, and I feel like I'm not doing myself justice in that respect. Another thing is that I love doing reactions. I'll always continue to do reactions, and they'll always be the main part of the channel, DMCA permittable, of course. Like, there is always the danger that this just gets pulled away, and I can't do copyrighted music and reactions anymore. I mean, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to, because trust me, every single major label, minor label, independent artist, everybody is constantly coming to me, and I can only assume other reaction channels as well, asking to cover their music. I'm talking big artists, bigger labels. So there's people within those labels that see the power of reactions. So I'm not too concerned they're going away, but who knows? Copyright law could change. Anything can happen. Being able to just talk to you guys about the music directly, that they can't take that away. They can't take that away. And finally, I really do like the idea. It's intimidating, and it's nerve-wracking, but I like the idea of learning to do this in public in front of you guys. Now, if you know my background, I've been reviewing stuff professionally, video games, since 2005. I worked on video games magazines, I ran video games magazine, I did it as a freelancer, moved on to do it as a consultant. I've got thousands and thousands and thousands of words written, not necessarily spoken to camera, but written about games. Reviewing is something that I know how to do, but reviewing music is very different, so I'm having to come up with my own process to learn how to do this, and especially translating it from something where I could write it but actually speak it to camera as well. It's nerve-wracking, man. This is why this video has actually taken a while to come out. So I was like, okay, I'll just give my final thoughts. And I was like, how do I actually do that? I don't have anything in place. I don't know how to do that. Yeah, I could stick the camera on and just say what's on my mind, but I like the idea of doing it properly. So your feedback is going to be vital on that, and I'm going to learn and get better at this side of things as I go. So that's really exciting. Like, how do I take notes? How do I listen? How many times? What do I do? How do I write? Do you know? Do I script it all? Do I improv some of it? No, what different language can I bring in? What can I? All sorts of stuff to think about. So expect more of these, obviously, and expect just generally more spoken stuff on the channel. I can't tell you, as a reactor, and other reactors will tell you this, just to be able to put up a video and not get told off by YouTube's copyright system straight away. Yo, I've done this wrong. Every single time you put a video up, a big line through your monetization. It's not even about the monetization, really. It's more just like not being told off, not feeling like you're constantly doing something wrong. If you stuck all the way to the end of the video as well, please do let me know in the comments, along with, you know, your feedback on the review, feedback on the album. That's the most important thing. We're talking about the music here. Guys, look out for more of these after album reactions. Please do sign up to the Patreon as well if you want to support the channel. Get your uncut album reactions, your extra album reactions on there, Q&As, other stuff, and maybe something to do with these final thoughts videos as well. And I'll see you all very soon. Peace.